Hello again, gamers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Captain.
And I'm Alex.
And today we're going to be reviewing and showing you a little bit on how to play Tales from the Loop, the board game. Now, before I get into this, I do want to give a big thank you to Free League Publishing for sending us this copy of the Tales from the Loop, the board game, to be able to play and review. Thank you very much to Free League Publishing. Also, I want to say I've got a ton of links in the description down below that you can check out at your leisure. There's a link to BoardGameCaptain.com, which is a great hub for all things Board Game Captain. There's also a link to my Teespring store. You can get yourself some cool Board Game Captain merch, t-shirts, mugs, etc. And there's a link to my Patreon if you're in a position to and would like to support the channel. Head over, link in the description down below. All right, so Tales from the Loop, the board game. If you're familiar with the Tales from the Loop original book or TV show that was on Amazon Prime,
A couple years ago, yeah.
you're probably familiar with the world of Tales from the Loop. But if you're not familiar with Tales from the Loop, Alex, how would you describe the world of Tales from the Loop?
Tales from the Loop is a retro, like 80s version of the world, mainly Sweden, or
Yes,
or
but like what they thought the future would be.
what thought the future would be if like technology advanced rapidly and then just basically stopped, and it turns into all this weird science fiction-y things with time and robots and dimensional kind of stuff, all centered around this research facility called the Loop.
Indeed. So now this is a board game where you're going on adventures. This is kind of like a storytelling adventure board game, mostly cooperative, going on the adventures in the Loop in Sweden. Would that be fair?
That sounds exactly right. Yeah.
All right, so now I'm going to really quickly show some of the components here. I'm not going to go too much because, again, this video will get really huge if we get too deep into it, but there is a lot. We have the rule book. I have one thing. I'm not sure if it's an issue or not, but we're going to talk about it during the review. Mostly the rule book is pretty well done, full color, but you have to be aware this is a heavier game. This rule book is 22 pages of rules.
Yes.
That's a lot of information.
That doesn't include like a scenario or a story or anything.
No.
It's just
they've got a separate book for the story.
right.
So the separate book, which this is awesome, is called it's called The World of the Loop, and it is about not accounting the acknowledgments to people kickstarted, 11 pages of storyline, and this is totally separate from the main book, which is 22 pages of straight up rules. Right. So you got to be aware that that's definitely a thing. These are awesome though. What do you think?
Awesome and necessary, but yes, they're like big cheat sheets.
These are great. Yeah. There's only 2 of them though, which is a little bit of an issue, but since you're co-oping, you can totally just pass these around.
Yeah.
Really quickly, we've got these great sheets for the robots. These are really well done. Why don't you talk about what you said is one of your favorite parts, the board.
The board is fantastic. It's a super thick piece of cardboard. The artwork is really good. It's very legibly drawn, and it even has the counters are built into it.
Yeah, the dials.
The dials here, which I thought was great. This is a really cool aspect because there's a lot going on in this game, and so keeping track of those off the board would be just one more thing. Yeah, the board is great. This is one of the nicer game boards I think I've seen.
Now the rest of the components, I'm not going to go over all of them, but we have miniatures. We have cardboard tiles. We have some very nice cards that are linen finish. But one of my big things I do want to call attention to that is awesome is they have a fantastic insert in here. Everything has a place, whether it be just cardboard punch-out tokens or wooden cubes or the miniatures themselves. Everything's got a spot. It all fits nicely in this box. But that, I do want to, though, draw attention to just one positive. I like the recesses for the cubes on the player boards.
Yeah.
The recesses for the cubes are really cool.
Yeah, the dashboards are really well thought out.
So now we're going to head over to the table. We're going to run you through a full round of this game. This will by no means be enough to call it a full tutorial. It's just going to give you a taste of kind of how you play this game, how you do investigations. But there's so much in this game. If I were to show you everything, this would be like an hour and a half, 2 hour long video, which I don't want it to get. I'm trying to really restrict myself on time here, but we're going to show you roughly how you play a turn of this game, and then we're going to come back, we're going to talk about how this game plays and feels, and we're going to rate it and review it. Okay, so we are all set up to play a 2-player game of Tales from the Loop, the board game. Now, couple things. I'm not going to go over setup too much because there was a ludicrous amount of stuff to set up in regard to setting up both your characters as well as the robots, which are a little bit off screen, but we'll pull them on screen if we need to, as well as all the decks of cards and everything. It's kind of insane. So what I'm going to say is this is not going to be a complete tutorial. We're going to just run you through a full round to kind of give you an idea of what to play. But if I ran through all of the setup and really ran you through every circumstance that there is to show how to play, this video would be well over an hour long because there's a lot going on here. So this is just going to give you a basic idea of how the first round of a game plays. And we're going to be playing the basic scenario that they tell you to play first, which is Bot Amok. So I've fully set up here for 2-player game, and I am over on this side of the table. I'm going to be playing Nils the Weirdo.
And I'm over on this side of the table. I am playing Clara the Bookworm.
So now, playing it a 2-player game, I do want to recommend that it is quite important to pick characters that are good at different things and weak at different things so you don't have any overlap since there's only 2 of you. So for this case, Nils is brave, but he is weak.
And Clara is clever, but slow.
Which are completely no overlap there between those particular effects. So now we're going to run you through the first round after setup here in what to do. So the first thing we do is the school phase. Now the first thing in the school phase is that all the kids have to start on the school location over here, which is where our standees are. Both of our standees are over here at the school. Then we have to go over the current diary or diary cards that are active. The current diary card we have here is erratic behavior. Lately, some machines have started behaving in odd ways. Mostly it's small things like walking with a limp. But last week, a Parhoofer almost rammed Anderson's truck. There's something going on with the machines. Investigate rumors about oddly acting machines and the Parhoofer itself. Put the machine token on the base of the Parhoofer. It will not move as long as the token remains on the base. Spend 2 actions when nearby to flip this card. So now the Parhoofer is all the way over here. We're just going to go take the machine token and put it on there as instructed. So here's the machine token. We're going to be putting it on the Parhoofer. So there we go. Now that gives us an idea of one of the things we need to investigate. We don't know what's on the other side of this card. Technically we do because we've already played this scenario, but before investigating the Parhoofer, we don't know what's on the other side of this card. We also have all of these rumors down here, which each one tells you a particular location that you would need to go investigate, which normally only spends 1 time token. These are the time tokens. You have them next to your player board on the side here. And we would need to spend 1 time token over there. Now, as part of the setup, we've also received our chores for the week, as well as our iconic items, etc., on our player boards. I also have the first player token, so I will be working us through the turn. Now, in the first turn's preparation phase, we actually skip through most of the rest of what is listed for the preparation phase because we don't need to collect back our time tokens. We haven't already used them. On the first turn's preparation phase, that's really all you do. There is more in future preparation phases. Next, we're going to move on to the school phase. Now, in the school phase, the first thing we're going to do is draw a school card. Now, we have turns that are all the days of the week, and you do not do a school phase when you make it to the weekend. But for every school day, we do have to draw a school card. So, Alex, why don't you tell us what our first turn school card is going to be?
Our first turn school card is called Local Historian.
So now I'm going to just put this right here so that everybody can see. Now, this Local Historian card is over here in the top left-hand corner. It shows how many new cards you would draw for the rumors for future rounds. Now, this does not happen in the first turn. Now, this is the number of players -1. So if we were drawing new cards, we would draw 1 because there's 2 players playing, and we would slide them all down, and 1 would slide off. When you slide a card off, you have to increase the specific statistic for Enigma over here, which is bad. You would increase it by 2 for them sliding off. But we don't do that on the first turn. I'm just giving you an idea on future turns. Now, this symbol here in the top right corner means that we can all do this particular task together and can aid each other. Okay, so for the test, the first player has to do the test, and that's me, which is unfortunate because I do not have any extra ability in the clever area, but Alex does. I really wish he could make this task. But unfortunately, I was the first player, so I have to make the task. Now, a standard roll is 3 dice. In a two-player game, if it was something I was good at, I could get 5 dice, but I'm not good at it. If it's something I was lousy at, I would only get 2 dice. But now, since Alex is in the same location, he can aid me with this if he would like. Are you going to give me an extra?
Absolutely.
Okay, so now I'm up to 4 dice. Now, if we add any items that could specifically help us with this, we could get more dice as well, but we do not have any blue-colored items. This is a blue task for cleverness, which means I'm going to have 4 dice only to attempt to get at least 1 6. Let's see if I can do it.
All right.
Yes, that is a success. Fantastic. The odds were not 100% with me, but we did it. So for success, we immediately get to scout a rumor, which is pretty freaking awesome. So Alex, what rumor should we do? Should we do one fairly close to us? We've got C over here. We've got H. We've got K, which is right here. Should we do the K?
Yes, we should do the K.
All right, let's scout the K rumor. So the local historian is able to help us scout the K rumor, and we wind up with prison break-in. What are you kids doing here? This is a police investigation. So it is a blue requirement, which means Alex's character is definitely going to want to be the one to go do this. And it says, Officer Blankhang, I think is how you pronounce that, has already cordoned off the area. You know she's different from other grown-ups and might listen if you can lay out the facts. Now, if you can succeed at a clever test, success says she holds you with a piercing gaze. Okay, kid, you've got 5 minutes to gain an item. So you gain 1 free item, which is that's actually pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Failure is this is a police matter, and you become upset, and anyone who is aiding you would become exhausted. So that's, yeah, definitely not something you would want to fail, but Alex would automatically get 5 dice on working on that anyway because his character is clever.
Correct.
But before we move on to being able to investigate that and other things, we do have to finish up the bottom of this card here. Now, the bottom of this card here gives us the directions for moving around the robots. So we have to go from left to right. So first we do any robots who have the worker symbol, and that is the Parhoofer, but he has the token on him, which means he can't move. So we're going to skip him. Now, the next is defensive robots, which is the Fire Guard. I'm just going to pull the Fire Guard card off here to show you. He has the defensive symbol there. Now, the Fire Guard is over here, and the Fire Guard is going to go 1 to the north and then 1 east. And then this symbol here is for the last kind of the robots we have on the board, which is the Watchdogs, which goes 1 to the east and then 1 south there. So now that all of our movements are done for our various robots, so now we're going to go to the adventure phase where we're going to get to do all our investigations and various actions. For the first day of the week, I want to try to start getting my chore work done. Now, you have to get your chores done at some point during the week, and my chore swim school is specifically a chore that I have to do twice during the week. Early on, it seems like a good time to get it done. It costs me 2 time cubes to get 1 token placed on the card. So I'm going to spend 2 time cubes in my general action area. Alex, would you pass me a token to put on my swim school card? Thank you. That is the first of the 2 tokens I need to complete that task. But now I will have only 4 actions for the rest of this round to work on things.
All right. Well, I think for my initial action is I'm going to try to move over to area K to investigate that rumor, which we have already scouted with the help of the historian.
Now, you'll have to, of course, bypass the Parhoofer if you're gonna just skim over there. If you're gonna literally just try to zip by him, because the routes we have to take are through N.
Right.
Is that what? I mean, that seems like a good idea to me. I have a lot less action, so I'm not going to come with you. I'm going to go do something else since I had to use some of my actions towards my chore here. But if that's what you want to do, let's do it.
All right. So I'm going to use one of my time tokens, time cubes, to move to N, which is now adjacent to the Parhoofer.
Now, the Parhoofer shows in its current state of not being alert that you can either outsmart it or outrun it. Now, Alex does have a specialty in cleverness, which is the blue stat, so you will get 5 dice to try to outsmart it to get past it. Good luck.
So 5 to outsmart the Parhoofer.
Let's see if you can do it.
And I do not.
Okay, do you want to push your roll?
I do, because I do not want to become scared. Scared is bad. All right, so I'm going to pay a time cube and put it in my exhausted column to push.
So now paying that cube, Alex is going to get a re-roll. The thing is, if he had failed the roll, he would have become scared, which is a really bad negative effect. But paying for it, he just became exhausted, which is a more minor effect. Also, it would have pushed him back to his last location if he was not able to outsmart and get past. So let's get a roll and see if we can get past it. There we go. That is a 6. So Alex has outsmarted the Parhoofer. So now you can spend another time cube if you would like to move to over where the K location is, which is where the clue is. So now over here, I believe it costs 1 cube to investigate it.
Correct.
So are you going to spend another cube on that?
Yes, I am. So to investigate, since it is a clever test, I get 5 again for that, but you're not around to help me.
So you're going to spend 1 cube and go for it?
Yes, so spend the cube, investigate the prison break-in.
Let's see what happens. No, that is a fail. You do have a cube if you want to push it, but if you do push it, now that you're already exhausted, you will become upset. Are you going to push it?
If I fail, I would become...
You're going to become upset anyway. You want to go for it?
Yeah, there's no point not to.
All right, so he's going to put a point in upset, and now 1 more roll. Well, you've needed a couple pushes this time, and boom!
There it is.
Very well done.
Finally.
All right, so now what do you get as your reward? And go ahead and remove that card because that card, that clue has been thoroughly investigated.
I gain an item.
Right, that's
right off the top of the deck.
So what's the item you get? Because you can hold up to 4 items, so that is really great.
So I get the AV cable, which is like a what is this one?
Well, this one is black, so it doesn't go for any of the particular types of tasks. But what it does do is it has a lot of things you can combine it with to make combo effects, and the combo effects are auto successes that you don't even need to roll for, which is really good. Okay, so
move the Parhoofer card back up to the top.
Okay, now you do have 1 cube left. You can use it to call for a ride from your parents.
That's what I'm going to have to do.
All right, so at least you can get home.
Yeah, so that's going to be ride from mom and dad to get home, which is at G.
Over here.
So I'll go there.
All right, so now you're going to be laid down home for dinner.
And done.
Okay, I've got 4 cubes I can use, which is not a huge amount. So what I've decided I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna try to investigate C up here because it's on my way home and I have to get past those damned watchdog robots anyway. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spend 1 action to move on the bus route. You see these bus signs here. Over to C. Now it drops me off and I immediately have to try to get past the watchdogs. But the watchdogs are alert, which requires either a blue or a yellow test, which unfortunately I am not good at strength, so I have to go with blue, which I only get 3 dice on that because it is not something I am strong at. So let's see how this goes. So I need a 6 to get past them. Let's see how I can do. Woo. Oh my god, I got lucky. All right, so I was able to bypass them. That is really good. So now that I am here, I am going to spend another cube to attempt to investigate C. So we're going to flip C over and see what we've got. Oh, this is supposed to be gone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so for C, we have Fertilizer Thief. I was just getting the fields in order, and then someone steals my fertilizer. So this is a speed-based task. I do have the lowrider bike, which can give me +1 die on quick-based tests, which means I'll actually get 4 dice, not 3, which is not bad. It says, there are large machine tracks disappearing into the woods. It can't have got that far. Keep the pace and try and find the thief. All right, so I'm going to take my 4 dice. I'm going to give a shot and see if I can find the thief. Here we go. That is a failure, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to push my roll. I've got 2 dice, so I've still got 1 die to try to get me home. So I'm going to push my roll, and I'm going to take the 4 dice and go again. And that, by the way, that one token gets me exhausted, but I succeed. The push was successful. So for success, you find it toppled over, covered in scratch marks. Gain the Dino Claw anomaly. Ooh. So that is another success.
That's interesting.
Now, the Dino Claw anomaly has 2 uses, and it says it is razor sharp, may be used to automatically succeed on a yellow test. That's a strength-based test. So that is really, really cool. Now, I do want to point out that we did succeed on 2 different tests involved on rumor cards, which gets us 2 points of insight. So I'm going to move the insight up 2. I should have moved it 1 when Alex succeeded at his, but there you go. We moved up 2 on the insight because we did not fail either of those. If we had failed any of them, we would have moved up on the Enigma statistic over here in the top right of the board. Now I have 1 token left. I'm just going to use it since I've already bypassed the robots here. I'm just going to use it to get home, which means I am home for dinner. And now being home for dinner, I get to remove my exhausted token. Alex also gets to remove his upset token, though he's going to have to keep his exhausted because you can only remove 1.
I moved my favorite down because I got a ride earlier.
Yes, but then you get to move your favor back up 1
right.
For being home for dinner. And in this way, you work your way through the various investigations, slowly investigating clues, investigating strange happenances, hacking robots if you can. You can even get rides on robots. There's way too much involved in this game to actually show in a quick tutorial. There's a ludicrous amount here. It actually borders on a full-on role-playing game with how many options you actually have on things you can do during the round. But this is a basic idea of how you play a game of Tales from the Loop. So now we're going to head back. We're going to talk about how this game plays and feels, and we'll rate it and review it. Welcome back. So that was roughly how you play a game of Tales from the Loop, the board game. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot going on. We didn't even really have time to get into the hacking, but the short version of the hacking is that you get multiple players and their characters together. You usually need at least 2 players because you have to use a number of cubes equal to the number of spaces needed to hack on a robot, and each of those are then tests, and you deal up random tests that need to be played on the robot. A lot of it is rolling dice for the tests.
Yeah.
Adventure cards, storyline cards.
Didn't get into the restricted areas.
Yeah, which are harder to move into. They cost 2 actions to move into a restricted area rather than 1. There's just so much. There literally is so much. I love how, like, if you hack a robot, then you can use a token to use it to carry people around. So, like, most robots usually can carry multiple kids 2 spaces for 1 action, so you can use it to speed things up.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. All right, so let's start with some negatives, though, because now, all right, we're going to, I think we're going to end both positively on this game. We'll see. I think we're both positive, but there's a lot of negatives to draw attention to that we do both have some issues with this game.
Right.
So we got to get past those. So, Alex, what is your first negative?
First one is written on the back of the box. The estimated time to play is 180 minutes.
Oh, yeah, we didn't go through that. It's 2 to 5 players, ages 14 and up, 180 minutes.
Right.
So 2 to 5 players, yes.
14 and up?
Yes. 180 minutes.
Yes.
Plus.
That's, yeah, I would say 180 minutes. That's a 2-player game, which doesn't include the majority of an hour for setup.
This is a big, long game. Right. And setup... Well, I was going to say setup is its own. We could almost, well, I guess since you mentioned it, but setup could almost be its own gripe. The setup in this game, even when you're experienced, probably is going to take you half an hour to set up.
Yeah.
Especially if you're playing, even if you're experienced, but you're playing a scenario you haven't played yet, because there are different cards and different stuff you have to get out for each of the scenarios.
Right.
And there's a lot of scenarios, which is going to be a positive.
Right.
I like that. But setup is a chore.
Right. So I think you could. So the box is big, and the game involves kids, and it's like cartoony kind of graphics on the board and everything. This could trick you into thinking this is a lighter game.
It's not a lighter.
This is a very, very, very heavy game that takes most of a day to set up, play, and do properly, especially if you have 4 or 5 people.
I mean, it's not Twilight Imperium, but this is going to be, if you're doing a game day with this, you'll only do some smaller games with it. You're not going to, I mean, and this is the kind of thing where you're going to set aside a day where you're going to be like, hey guys, let's try out Tales from the Loop on this particular day. Let's all meet up and do it. Like, you're gonna have done that ahead of time, especially because someone really needs to spend the time to go through the rules, which takes a long time.
Right. So yes. So that's not even included. So the first time you play this, the rules, the setup, and then the playthrough, you're talking 4 hours, perhaps plus. So that's the negative to me. That's a really, really long time to play one board game.
I don't disagree. So I'm not going to.
Okay.
I like a lot of big, heavy games. I like games that take all day. The issue is that I find with this one, this game can, depending on the scenario, overstay its welcome. There can be points where you're like, okay, are we going to finish? Like, are we going to get to the end of this story? And that can be a bit of a problem. Now, not all the scenarios I feel that about, but I have found that.
Yes.
So my big negative, I have this weird thing where reading the rule book, there is no explanation of players taking turns in the rule book. When you get to the main phase about investigating, it seems to be like we showed it, and we showed it that way, that it is a free form thing. You know, oh, you take some actions and do this. I'll take some actions and do that. Now, I don't actually know if that's how it's intended to be. I don't know if you're supposed to take turns or not. There are some other things in there that sort of make it sound like you're supposed to take turns, but if they do, then this is a big issue because there's no actual explanation of taking turns.
Right. The only thing I can think of is like there is a first player, and the first player has to do the school event assignment.
Yeah.
So there's like a turn there, but then it's
just
things just happen as you want them to happen, and it's just kind of cool. But it's
but if that's an issue, if it wasn't meant to be that way, then that's an issue. I did want to draw attention to it. I'm not really going to hold it against it because I'm going to be rating it based on the weird free-form nature that we played it as, because that's what the rulebook seems to indicate. If that's how it's meant to be, that's fine.
Right.
That's how it is. But if it isn't, then I do have to mention it because I'm not 100% sure we played it right. And that's
which is a disconcerting feeling.
It is. It's a little odd. But this is how we played it because this is how the rulebook says it's played. So I hope we played it right. But if we didn't play it right, then this is an issue that I really did feel like I needed to mention.
Let us know if we didn't play it right.
Yeah. But again, though, that is an issue that I need to mention if we did not play it right. Your turn.
We're still on negatives, right? Mm-hmm. There's just a lot.
There is a lot.
There's too, and I'm gonna say sometimes there's a lot going on, and that's fine. There's too much going on.
You are going to need to check the rule book frequently during your first few plays of this game because stuff that doesn't happen all the time, like hacking a robot, you're going to have to check it like the first few games every time someone goes to hack a robot.
Right.
Certain things are just going to need to be checked in the rule book a lot. Yeah. And even though the cheat sheets are pretty good and necessary, there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't show up in the cheat sheets because there's too much stuff.
There's too much. The cheat sheets are two sides of a full, 11.5 by or 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and you can't fit everything on it that you need to do on every turn, or within every round, I should say. And and the things you have to keep track of, the amount. I mean, fortunately, they built it so that you can do it all on the dashboard, which is a plus. But man, there's 9 or 10 different things on that dashboard. Then you have your items. Then you have your rumors and investigating, the robot movement, the anomalies. There is every time you do something, you have to check 9 different cards.
And insight and enigma.
And then, at the end of every one, you got to do the insight and enigma and keep track of that, which affects the cards in the next turn.
Which, that's the thing is, some of the cards will reference insight and enigma, but until a card comes up that references insight or enigma, those stats don't do anything.
Right.
So, like, we were accumulating going, what is the point of these? There's no point until a card specifically says, if you reach this much insight or this much enigma, then this happens.
Right.
So, there's a lot going on, and a lot of it, like, you get confused by because you're not really sure what it's for until it comes up.
Right. It's almost like this game. Sorry, go ahead. You do.
No, I was done.
So it's there's a Tales from the Loop role-playing game, and this seems like this was adapted from that, and it almost seems like there needs to be like a game master running this. There's so much to keep.
There's so much going on.
Like there needs to be like one person just be like, okay, did you remember to do that? Next comes this. All right, now we have to reference that. It's because like you're playing the game and you're coming up with strategy and you're doing things.
Yeah.
And there's this entire like constellation of events and everything that's occurring that you must keep track of as well. And it just, I felt lost more than once.
It can be overwhelming. Yeah. It can definitely be overwhelming.
Right.
Okay. Any other negatives?
Nope. That's it.
Yeah. So it's a fair amount. Now I did say that we're gonna have a fair amount of negatives.
Yeah.
So now positives. And here's the thing. And I did say we were gonna be and that we were gonna be more positive than negative.
Correct.
And we are. But there are a lot of negatives to get it through, and we address them. So, positives.
The design and the production are fantastic.
All right, so that's two things.
Sorry.
You take one. You take one of them. I'll take the other.
All right, I'll do production.
Go ahead.
The production value is awesome. Like I
Yes.
said, the game board itself is beautiful. It's
Gorgeous.
really well laid out. I like the fact that the Enigma trackers are built into the board game.
Enigma and Insight.
And
Yeah.
so then the cards are all beautiful. The dashboards are really well thought out and useful.
They have the inset areas for the cubes.
So you can bump it. Nothing
Miniatures.
moves. The miniatures are really good. Are really well done. All the production is like top notch. It's
And
really,
the insert has a place for everything in a fairly compact space. If you didn't have such a good insert, this would have to be in a much bigger box.
like when you pick it up, it is heavy.
Oh, it is very heavy.
So production is A+.
Now, in regard to design, this is amazingly well designed in how well it simulates discovery and adventure. You're flipping over the cards when you discover things. You succeeded a card, you get to flip it over and find something out new. You get to draw another card and find out something new. And you actually do work your way through a mystery, and at the end, figure out what's causing the mystery, which is really well done in a board game format. For that, now, not issues we had with it notwithstanding, but for how it so thematically represents the mystery adventure theme of the game, I think that's totally fantastic.
Yeah, it draws you in and it keeps it moving. When it's not being bogged down by the gameplay itself.
Yes.
The story is really well done. Yeah.
Yes, and there's I'm going to throw out another positive. I'm sorry, I'm skipping you. I'll go back to you for a positive, but there's a bunch of different adventures in here. There's like 8 or so, and each one is a total full day of gaming, which means content-wise, in this box, you have a ludicrous amount of content.
Yeah.
This could be like 8 full days worth of gaming, which for a smaller game would be like 16 games worth of game, because like every one of these games is about 2 sizes of a normal size game, because they're like 4-hour plus games. 180 minutes plus games, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot going on. They even have one that's a total sandbox type thing where you can do a bunch of different mysteries at once, which is really cool. How about you? Another positive?
I like how well they integrated the storyline into it. So the design is really well, but like this is 100%. This isn't just an IP dropped onto a game. This goes with the Tales from the Loop universe perfectly well. They did a really good job matching it up. It doesn't seem like
Highly thematic.
it doesn't seem like they were plug and play on this one. I think
No.
this was really well
Ground up.
really well thought out to simulate that universe, and they did a great job.
And as crazy as all the major rules are, every test is simple. It's just figure out how many dice you're going to roll. Pluses and negatives tells you how many dice you roll, and you're just looking for 6s. So that the regular dice roll is very easy. That's like, oh, well, how many dice do I get? I get 5 dice? Okay, if any of them are a 6,
Win.
I'm good.
Right.
And that is really good. That's a real positive. Anything else?
No, I think
That basically covers it?
I mean, those are pretty good pluses.
They are huge
design,
pluses.
theme,
Yes.
production. Yeah,
Huge pluses.
Right.
Which do, in my mind, the amount of work that went into this, both design and production, do outweigh the negatives I have.
yes.
So yeah, bottom line, I'm going to be positive. I'm going to be positive on this game. I am a little hit or miss with co-op games. I didn't really look enough into this before I accepted the review copy of it. If I'd have known it was a co-op, I might not have, because they don't always hit as well with me. But I'm trying to keep an open mind for other people who do like co-ops, and would I recommend it to them? So, Alex, do you want to go first or second on the rate and review?
I'll go first.
All right, go ahead.
Overall, I'm gonna give this a 6.5,
Okay, not bad.
which is good but not great. First of all, I like the Tales from the Loop theme. I think that's a great idea. It's like
Yes.
the artwork is super fun. It's great, and I like the design and the production. Those are all really good. But man, the bang for the buck is just not there. The gameplay bang for the time spent buck is like
Okay.
That's what is
That's what keeping it from being a 7 or
from
higher.
being a 7 or higher. It's just you're not as satisfied at the end of 3 hours as I would hope to be.
I'm going to go 7 stars out of 10.
Okay.
I think I liked it a little bit more. I really respect the amount of work that went into this, which I think is what's really bringing me up to that 7 from, say, like a 6 or 6.5. That 7 is 100% because there's so much work went into this and there's so much going on. That said, it does have issues. You need to be aware of that. But if you are a big fan of co-op games, co-op adventure storytelling games, this might be right up your alley. There's a lot going on here. I think if I was a bigger fan of co-op games, I might have rated it higher. That said, I'm getting to the point where I'm actually starting to actively not accept review copies on co-op games because I'm so hit or miss with them. Which I was blinded by the theme and didn't even check what kind of game this was. If I had, because I love Tales from the Loop, I love the role-playing game, I love the show. If I had realized this is a co-op game, I probably wouldn't have accepted the review copy because of how hit or miss I have been with co-op games.
Right.
But that said, even with that, I'm still 7 stars out of 10, which is mostly positive.
Yeah, it would have gone higher for me if they'd omitted 20% of the things that are going on.
There is possibly too many things going on. I think the term we're looking for there is maybe it was a little overly ambitious. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I ambitious or like couldn't figure out how to make that theme work throughout the gameplay without all of these things.
Without all these mechanics, without all of these elements.
I think there's a way to do it.
It needs to be streamlined a little.
It does need to be streamlined. It's just too clunky.
Too much. All right, but that said,
yeah, good game.
Still a good game.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want us to sound so overly negative because we're both positive on this game. It's just that both of us felt looking at the game, we're like, oh my God, this game's going to be amazing. So us only being like, this game is good, felt like a little bit of a letdown to us because we had very high expectations for this game, but the game is good.
Right.
If you are a big fan of the Tales from the Loop universe and you are also a fan of cooperative board games, this might really be for you. Yeah. So there you have it. If you enjoyed this review and tutorial and you'd like to see us do more like it, be sure to give it a like. Share it on all forms of social media. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Captain. That's Captain spelled with a K on YouTube. And until next time, game on.